The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid Cult, the unofficial American Horror Story cult podcast, a PapiChuloRadio.com original series, Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Wednesday, October 11th, 2017, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Aruz. During tonight's broadcast, we're going to recap, review, and dissect the latest episode of FX's American Horror Story cult. Please welcome my co-hosts, Priscilla Rocha.
Hey there.
And Mark Estes.
So what's up?
All right, let's get into it. Let's jump to our recap of Season 7, Episode 6, which was titled Midwestern Assassin and aired October 10th, 2017. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. Allie continues to piece the puzzle together. Kai's plan intensifies. So what was everyone's initial reaction to the episode? And we'll start off with you, Priscilla.
Man, it feels like every single episode they're just putting more, like, you thought the puzzle was done, but you didn't realize that there's now, like, an entirely new, like, set or frame to the puzzle that just adds more to it, that adds more to the image. And I'm amazed by just how intricate this plan is and how every single little thing that you thought was just that kind of like background information turns out to be important. This is a good episode.
Mark, what about you?
Well, I thought it was rude as fuck, but I was like, I love it. I was so jilted by the way it started, and by the time you get to because it's like those episodes where they tell you, okay, this is what happened. We're going to tell you for the next 45 minutes how we got to this point. And you thinking like, oh, thinking like, oh, well, this is it. This is going to be the last episode featuring these cast of characters. Because I was just so sure after that reveal opened up at the beginning of the episode that Allie had the gun in her hand. I'm like, okay, she done took out Bev. She done took out Winter. She done took out, probably, what's that fool name? Colton Haynes' character.
Detective Samuels. What's that fool?
Samuels and Gary. And I'm thinking like, Harrison and Ivy were the ones still standing because you saw Kyle lying there. And then by the time you get to the end of the episode, you're like, oh shit, not only did they pull the rug up under not Allie, but just all of us, but there's still more to come. And it's just like, my God, like that is so rude, but I'm here for all of it.
And I co-sign with both of you. The twists, the turns, the puzzle pieces, I mean, it's insane. It's a very well-written and a very well-thought-out season. And I'm loving all of, like, the weird, timey-wimey stuff. Like, it's good. Like, I love the flashbacks and the flashbacks of the flashbacks. And, I mean, it's a well-done season. And I just can't give it any more kudos. I mean, I'm thoroughly enjoying what we're seeing, and I love how they presented this episode. I thought it was another like really strong episode for the season.
Yes, I'm just still floored.
Yes. So before we get into,
I don't know how we're gonna talk about it because everything's all broken up. So props to you for figuring out how we're gonna break this thing down.
Exactly.
I know, right? So before we get into a thorough recap of the latest episode of American Horror Story Cult, here's our announcer with a few special announcements.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Are You Afraid, Cult, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. All right, let's start off at the very beginning. A very good place to start. That was funny in my head. We're all going to start singing now. So, we start off with Kai at a rally, speaking in a very familiar tone that all of us here in the United States should have found very recognizable, especially when they started talking about a wall. Kudos to Ryan Murphy and the writers over at American Horror Story Cult, because how you're pulling from real life but making it your own is amazeballs. And so, okay, so he's speaking strong rhetoric. The crowd is excited. And then bang, 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 bang. Bodies going down. Bang, bang, bang. More bodies going down. And then we hear the police, telling the shooter to put it down, put it down, put it down. And we see that the shooter is Allie. Obviously, there's more to this story, and it is expressed and explained throughout the episode. But at this point in the episode, when you were watching it the very first time, what the hell did you think? And I know that, Mark, you kind of gave us a little bit of a tease as to what you thought, so I'll let you continue on expressing. What did you think when you saw Allie, and then all of a sudden, bam, the opening credits started?
Man, I thought that she had finally snapped, and I was like, oh my God, because I just knew that it wasn't going to end well. No matter if she did take out Kai, what they're going to tell us how, I just knew when the cops got her, anything she told them was not going to go well. So in retrospect, I kind of watched the whole entire episode relay how all this came to be with a sense of dread, because I'm like, we're in episode 6, and if you done went and had a massive shooting and you see other people lying on the ground that were not cult members, this could not end well for her at all. She's already got scrutiny for shooting a Latino man point blank in the dark. You know what I'm saying? But it was just crazy. And I'm like, everybody there the news, you got Beverly over the news.
Shout out to Beverly.
Yes. You have Samuels over the police force. It's just like, how else can this go well for her? That's what I was thinking at first.
Priscilla, what about you?
I totally also felt that she'd snapped, that all of the pressure put on her, that she'd figured it out, and that's what the episode was going to lead us through, her finally putting all the pieces together by herself. And the whole shootout thing was just her trying her best to stop Kai from taking over. That's what I thought. So the twist was insane. It was great.
Okay. And I was in shock completely when I saw Allie. I was like, what the hell happened to bring her to that point? I was very confused because I'm like, this is episode 6. if she's gonna do something like this, like they're gonna save this until the end. So I was like, there has to be something that caused her to get
What
into
an
this situation.
intrepid TV viewer.
I know, right?
You're already poking holes in whatever argument that you get because you're like, this isn't right. This isn't right.
Exactly. You know, sometimes I'm watching a TV show and I'm like, okay, they solved the issue, and then I pause and I'm like, oh, there's like 20 minutes left of the episode, you know, plus commercials that I will be fast forwarding through. But I'm like, okay, so there's something's gonna happen because you know the episode isn't over. So I was like, what is this? What's going on? It was in my Karen Walker voice, honey, what is this? What's going on? What are you doing? Because it didn't make any sense at all, at all. Now. It would be remiss of us not to discuss the fact that for those out there that watched it either live or recorded it on their DVR, that this episode was edited because of the horrific tragedy in Las Vegas that had to deal with a mass shooting, a psychopath deciding to shoot people at a country music festival just about a week and a half ago. This episode was edited for television. The opening scene with this mass shooting at a political rally was much more graphic in the usual American Horror Story kind of way. So the version that actually aired on the television was altered. I believe I read somewhere that the shooting in the regular version, because I don't like calling it the unedited version, because at least in my mind, like when I think of something unedited, it's usually like the director's cut and uncensored. I always think of like, oh, okay, this is because there's like the unedited or the director's cut of Scream, and they have like added gore and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna call it just the regular version because that was the version that we would have seen had what happened in Vegas not happened, and I'm gonna call the one that was trimmed the edited version. And so in the regular edition, I believe it's like double the length. So I think what we saw was like maybe I forget where I read it. It's like a minute and a half, but in the version, the regular edition, it's like maybe 2 minutes and some change. And in the regular edition, there are close-ups of the gun. You actually see these red shirts, for lack of a better word, you know, dying, getting shot. There's a scene in which Ivy sees someone get shot like almost directly in front of her. Later on in the episode, you see her face with like blood splatter on it. It makes a little bit more sense because we actually see the person get shot right in front of her. So yeah, so I guess we should discuss it because I mean it did make the news that they were editing the episode. There were articles written about the what would be trimmed, and after the episode aired, there were articles written about, I guess, what was excised from the broadcast version. For those out there that are curious, and if you didn't watch it live per se, or if you didn't record it, FX do a little blurb right before the episode aired stating that it was edited, that it would be showing a mass shooting, and it also stated that it would be releasing the regular version of the episode through video on demand and streaming, etc., the FX app and whatnot. So, in saying all of that, what are your thoughts on the episode being trimmed, and what version did you see, and did it make a difference, or just your thoughts in general on what was announced about the episode getting cut a bit?
I feel like if what happened in Las Vegas really affected you, whether it's because like you have someone that was a participant within the shooting, or you're just really sensitive to information like that being passed by through the news, or you're really empathetic. I think getting a visual like as graphic as, because I saw the uncensored one, as graphic as the uncensored one, it's gonna bring up like things that you really don't want rehash and live. Gonna have like a lot of panic attacks, a lot of, I don't know, a lot of fear. And I can see why it was a smart play on Fox to say, hey, no, like if Ryan Murphy, if you're gonna release this, like make a couple of cuts here or something, because people don't want to see that close to a shooting. As someone who watched the uncensored version first, and I haven't watched the censored version, obviously I don't have a problem with that, but I can respect people who do. It's different strokes for different folks, and like if you're okay with the uncensored version, then that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Gemini, so I see both sides of the argument. Like, I 100% fully understand why people would be bothered by it. But I also 100% fully understand or fully feel like the episode should have aired regardless in a sense, because I mean it's a show called American Horror Story. It's going to show horrific things anyway, and I would think that if someone is sensitive to it, whether it's because they were there, they know somebody, or whatever, they would know to stay away from a show of that nature. The best example that I could give is, I believe it was during season 1 of the ABC series Quantico, and because there are so many terrorist events, I can't tell you which one it was, but something happened a couple of days before Quantico aired. And Quantico aired on Sundays at the time. And the main plot of Quantico has to deal with terrorism. And in that episode, there was a major terrorist event that happened. And like ABC had already like announced their plans for Quantico as far as when the breaks would happen, what would be airing in its place, and all this kind of thing. So Quantico didn't have the luxury of, like, let's say Buffy the Vampire Slayer back in the 90s, when they completely shelved an episode that had to deal with a mass shooting at a school because of Columbine. And because Quantico is very serialized, I mean, they were going to have to deal with this terrorist event throughout the rest of the episodes. So what ABC did was they aired the episode as it was, but like right before the episode aired, they had a little blurb that stated, basically our thoughts and prayers are with the families of, this certain event, but our show deals with terrorism, and it's going to show an event that is shocking, or something to the gist of that. Viewer discretion is advised. And so they ended up actually just airing the episode as it was. There are arguments to be made, on shelving the episode, on airing it at a later date. I believe it's the USA Network. They had a show called Shooter, and they kept on postponing it because there were several mass shootings within the span of a month, and they kept on pushing the show back because of it. It's a tricky situation. Some people, I always read the comments, like especially when they announce that episodes will be postponed or unedited, and or edited, I should say. And some people really have an issue with, why postpone it? Things happen, basically. And a lot of those people usually get people responding in the comments like, hey, you don't have a heart because you're whatever. And other people are for the postponing. And I just think nowadays it's so difficult, especially when these things are happening, unfortunately, all the time. It's difficult, the concept of what do you do. I do like, though, that FX did give the option. They aired an edited version, but they released the regular version of the episode online. So if it doesn't bother you, you can enjoy the series as it was supposed to air. But if you're a little sensitive about the subject matter and you're flipping channels and whatnot, and you run into American Horror Story Cult, the images aren't as graphic. Mark, what about you? What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
You both of you guys kind of summed up, but I'll get 3 extra points. One, I'm also Gemini, so I see both sides of the argument. And again, like what Priscilla said earlier, if you prefer to watch the uncensored version, there should be no shame in your game in that. I mean, there's kids out here like playing video games that's doing the utmost, you know what I'm saying? So, and I mean, so there's that too. I kind of understood. Like, I was kind of like a little bit taken aback by Ryan Murphy's decision to like cut the episode because hell, nobody knew that the new episode was going to have a shooting, So that was kind of like it's kind of spoiled it. So you knew going into the episode there was going to be a mass shooting. You didn't know that last week. You didn't know it through the previews or anything like that. So, and then third, well, let me go back to 2. So when they announced that they were going to cut it, I was like, okay, I understand it's kind of sensitive and everything, what have you. I was kind of shocked because I found out, I think 2 hours before the show even came on, they were going to air an uncensored version. It might have been 2 hours. It might have been the hour that when they announced, they gave the disclaimer, and they said if you want to watch the unedited version, you can watch it on FX on demand. I'm like, oh shit, I might need to go watch the unedited version. So that was a little way of doing it because I don't think the news outlets and news articles were reporting that you can watch an unedited version of the episode. They were just reporting that it's going to be cut. And then finally, I was kind of, like I said, shocked by Ryan Murphy putting it because he said that he understands the victims and all this stuff, and he's trying to do respects. And I was like, well, going back, another show that came on this year called Feud with Betty and Joan, and he's going through a legal thing right now because of Olivia de Havilland is like upset that he like didn't come, he did not use her or anything like that. Don't use her liking or her part in all that.
Oh my gosh, it was a small role, and it's played by Catherine Zeta-Jones. You should be so lucky.
But she owned it, bro. I mean, I love every time Catherine Zeta-Jones came on, I was like, oh god.
Well, yeah, she's fantastic. Catherine Zeta, join American Horror Story, please.
Please, please, God, yes, please. But I was kind of like saying, so I don't know. I was like, but Ryan, you going through some. You know what? Never mind, Ryan. Just give me the episode. I just want to see it because it plays into what I mean, it's an American Horror Story. The fact that these shootings are going on, and we still do not have like gun control, like reform or anything like that, is an American Horror Story in itself. So I personally felt like just play it out so people can see how dangerous this shit can get, the levels of the levels that this shit can get, because you see the aftermath, you hear sound bites, but if you actually just show people like this is not like the Matrix, this is people out here at a political rally and they're getting shot. These are people who are different, who could be at different events. It could be a school event. Hell, the guy who got shot at the baseball practice, the senator
Scalise.
So I mean, they were just practicing. This is what happens when you get a madman. This is what happens when a madman gets a hold of some guns and just goes apeshit crazy. And it's an American Horror Story. And I think that by them, even with the episode, them doing all the stuff they've been showing all year, all season, and then all of a sudden just want to be like, okay, we're not going to show you this. It kind of like goes back on what they were doing because they've been mostly in your face with a lot of the shit they've been showing all year, especially when it comes to politics and the state of America as it is now, which we'll get into later. But at the same time, I still feel why Ryan Murphy did, because there might have been some fans of the show who were involved in all of that, and they'll probably need to get triggered into seeing it again. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I have with that.
All right, so let's continue on with the episode, and I feel like the best way to do this episode is in order because of all the twists and the turns. So we see the scene again in which Meadow confesses everything to Allie, and the person that, well, obviously Meadow gets taken away, and the person that Allie speaks to on the phone next is Dr. Vincent. And, Allie ends up, sort of talking to Vincent, but Vincent ends up believing that she's having a panic attack. And basically, he's like, you need to get some rest. You shouldn't do anything else. Go get some rest. And she's like, okay, I will do that. But instead of doing that, she grabs some mace, I'm going to assume, or something, and a knife, and she heads on back to the Wilton's house to investigate, and she ends up breaking in. She ends up breaking in while Harrison and Detective Samuels are getting it on the dining room table. I'm
sorry, that was
I'm
hard to say.
assuming. And she ends up snatching some keys, and she finds Meadow, and she breaks her out. Oh, she's ball gagged. I'm just saying, that's a hint. And she ends up breaking her out, pepper spraying people left and right. They get chased by Detective Samuels. They get in the car, and they drive away to the butchery on Main because that's what you do. And Meadow wants a cappuccino, or what was it, an espresso? Was it a cappuccino? Something. She wanted some coffee.
It was
And,
just random.
well, it's very Meadow, and she also was
There we go.
she was what's the word, kleptoing, which was
Yes.
very cool. And Meadow just gives Allie all of the information, explains everything. Your wife is in on it. She told us when you were leaving, when you were coming back. Hello, the guinea pig. This, that, or the other. And she ends up sharing her story to Allie. How she got deep into the cult. And she points out that Kai is the leader. And she explains that she fell in love with Kai. We get flashbacks to December 2016. And Kai basically, charms her and is like, it is you. You're the inspiration. You are the light, basically. And so we see her, basically propping Kai up. We see the night of the Chang's murder, and we see that Kai basically awards Meadow a kiss for how she handled herself during the murder. And then we see Meadow looking at Kai and Ivy, and Kai gives Ivy the same seductive pep talk. And that's when Meadow's like, I'm out, I'm done, you can go fuck yourself. And they don't allow her to leave. They hog tie her, and it looks like Kai is gonna stab her or something. And then the next scene that we see is we see her in the hole that was dug in the backyard. And Meadow basically is like, you can't go to the police. There's no one that can help us. No one's going to listen. We have to stop him, and the only way to stop him is to kill him. This is where we will stop. So let's talk about this conversation that Allie and Meadow had at the butchery on Main throughout the entire night, where Meadow is basically breaking down everything about the cult. Mark?
I was just like, Allie, she's giving you all the tea. All the tea. She is pretty much confirming that you have not been crazy this entire season. She's giving you all the tea, and you are still sitting here like, well, That's fucking insane. My wife can't be in the cult. I'm like, if I was in their room, I would slap the hell out of you because I don't know. But then when she finally got to it, like, like, okay, what do we do next? And she's like, we need to go to another time. We need to go to the cops. And then Meadow's like, look, you can't go anywhere. We're trapped. We have to do this. And I'm like, we have to kill Kai. I'm like, okay. That's when my red flag started to, go up a little bit because I'm like, episode 6. We're talking with Meadow here, who was in the lower tempo of the cult, and y'all have no support whatsoever. I don't see it happen. I see something, and this is like not even in the 15-minute mark. I'm like, something crazy is going to happen. So I don't know. I was just like floored that how far back Ivy was involved in all this. I mean, yeah, she kind of got pseudo involved in it the day on election day, but I felt like she was in there, like she probably came in full force, like, probably, a few, like months later, like when, after the whole, I don't know, it was crazy. That's all I gotta say. It was crazy. I was like, yeah.
I'm gonna like go with that and say I really did feel like she was an unwilling member of the cult for like the longest time. Like she was only there because her husband was there. But it took until her doing this flashback scene to realize that no, she's been more than a willing member. She's been like exemplary to Kai since the beginning. And that was what was like, whoa. So she really has like this malleable personality that's willing to be swayed by bigger, more magnanimous personalities like Kai. I don't know. Like I was like, whoa. I was shocked that entire time. That is scalding tea.
Yes.
Y'all are so sweet and innocent. I love it.
What are you talking about? You must feel
I'm rooting for Ivy. Oh, Meadow, she was the innocent one. She was unwilling to be a part of it. Y'all are adorable. I love it.
My God. I just felt like
Yes.
I understood, but see, I'm jumping ahead though. But Meadow, that like Priscilla just said, it just shocked me that it was Kai had, was like into her. But do y'all not? I don't think Kai was really into her. I think that Kai, again, I think when it comes to
Kai said exactly
like
what he does. He said it a few episodes ago. I will make you feel the best if you're down. If I've got to, bang you, I will bang you. He didn't say bang, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I will do what you need to make you feel loved, basically. So, yeah.
And I don't know. I have to admire that because that means you are truly dedicated to the cause. If you can sit there and, I probably sound stupid sounding by saying this. If you can sit there and just switch teams on the whim to get your end game, accomplished, then kudos to you, dude. I don't want your crazy mind control power. I just want that type of power. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just like saying,
Yeah.
Just, oh my God.
Well, I'm just kind of like, you're willing to do anything because she's pretty fucking desperate and like, I don't know. Like I don't feel for her.
You don't? Oh, I felt bad for her at that moment.
You feel bad for her?
For Meadow at that moment because I was like, only because it's kind of like, oh, baby, don't you realize he playing you? Because she really was in love with Harrison because she said she's below him since 10. I mean, you've been in this man's life for 10 years. Then you flip it over and you look at Harrison like, damn, she's been on your side for 10 years? That's deep. That's very deep. So you can kind of see why he kind of wants to rid himself of her. but at the same time, it's just like she's hopeless. And they had this same incident in a Nip Tuck episode. It was the same exact scenario where this woman was best friends with this guy, but she was in love with him, and then they both made a pact saying that they were going to marry each other if he didn't find somebody. But then the guy had a surgical procedure and he got a date. At the end of that episode, they tried to do a murder. She tried to do a murder suicide, and she killed dude. She killed her best friend because she couldn't have him, and so she couldn't have him. Nobody would. But Ryan Murphy flipped this narrative again. It was like, it's just crazy. I like how he reuses some of his stuff, but it was just crazy how she stuck with him for like all the damn years, and then turned around and was like the first person who gave her
Dick.
I wouldn't even say dick at this point. It wouldn't even get it ain't
Attention.
just
Love.
attention. Yeah, just a hi. You are somebody.
Hey, baby.
And she was like, legs open, take me, I am yours. And that's kind of where I felt like I felt sorry for her, because I'm like, your childhood or your just sense of self had to be just destroyed in your developing years. And you really just are helpless, because she's the true victim out of all of this outside of Allie. So it's kind of, but that was my thoughts then. So, but so.
She's a big girl and she knows exactly what she was doing. That's all I'm gonna say. But I did love that she spilled everything. Obviously, there's a reason why she spilled everything, and that's the thing that pissed me off in a good way later on in the episode, which we will get to a little bit later. But yeah, all the flashbacks, I mean, they were just fascinating and awesome, and it was just chock full of explanation and exposition. So I really enjoyed it. We continue on with April 3rd, 2017 at the City Council Town Hall debate, and we are introduced to Sally Kefler, who doesn't buy anything that Kai Anderson is selling. And she tells it to his face. She calls him a snake oil salesman. She calls him a fake conservative. She says that she's a real conservative from real conservative blood. And she announces her bid to be a city council member. And even though Kai is like, oh, well, the sign-up date to put your name on the ballot has already passed, and she's like, well, I'm going to, I think she said the town hall, to be able to allow myself to be submitted as a write-in candidate. And obviously that pisses Kai off, because she sort of humiliates him, and everyone seems to be on her side and seems to buy what she's selling, because she's basically telling Kai that he's using fear to incite the masses, basically. Yeah, we'll be talking about more of Sally in a moment. We flash to the day after the election, November 9th, 2016, and we have Ivy visiting Winter and basically freaking out because of Gary Longstreet. And so Winter is like, you should meet my brother. And Kai does the pinky thing with Ivy, and Ivy doesn't buy it in the beginning, but then she gets into it. They talk about their fears, and she gives sort of like a fake fear, about the election and Trump, basically. And then he's like, no, tell me your real fear, your deepest, darkest fear. And she's like, the idea of being in bed next to my wife.
I said, you bitch.
I know.
I know, that's a fucked up thing.
Yeah, we'll get into it in just 1 second, because we have to get into the flashback. So we flash back to the day that Allie gives birth to Oz. And Ivy's basically like from that day forward, she's had this like hatred of her wife. And, she couldn't carry the baby. And so, she felt helpless and worthless. And she felt as if Allie was sort of like rubbing it in her face. And, like that on top of like all of her phobias. And she calls them like her ridiculous phobias. And then as well as like the tipping point or the last straw was the Jill Stein vote. And so Kai basically offers to help her. He even asks, do you want to see her dead? And she's like, no, I wouldn't want Oz to go through that. And so he's like, well, we're going to make it so that no court would ever grant her custody. So, a whole lot. Let's get into it. Let's talk about both Sally Kefler, at least the introduction of Sally, and Ivy and her major truth bombs. Priscilla, I know you love you some Ivy. Were you still Team Ivy?
Kind of, just because I don't like Allie. I
Oh
still don't
my
like Allie
gosh.
for all of this, so I'm just like, I can see why. Like,
I
you
can see
go off
clearly
like that.
now.
In all honesty though, like that, damn Ivy, that's cold. The fact, but I'm just gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and saying that at the very least she didn't say let's kill her. She's like, no, I don't want her to die. I don't want Oz to go through shit like that. Instead, I just want her to never have our kid. Like, damn. I'm just fucking Ivy. I was so like innocent about Ivy. I totally was down with like her being the only sane one in this family, and now to realize that they're both sane, she's just been driving her insane, is crazy. It was just it's great. I loved that twist.
Yeah, I agree as well, even though I don't like Ivy. But the twist was fantastic because A, she doesn't want Allie dead. She wants sole custody of Oz, who she's jealous that Allie carried him and has that maternal bond, biological bond with. And the goal is to basically make her like the most unfit mother, to make her look like a psychopath so that no one would ever in a billion years allow her to take sole custody of Oz. I mean, it's an insane plan, but it's like a genius plan as well, in a sense. Mark, your girl, Ivy.
Look, I turned in my card. I turned in my card to the Ivy. But I told y'all, when I saw her slap Allie, I'm like, wait a minute. In the previews, I'm like, wait a minute now. You slapping Allie. I mean, like, after being all protective and, just, you my baby, you my wife, protect my family, and you slapped her. That's when I had one foot at the door then, because then when you find out what happened, you're like, no. So, but I really severed ties with the Ivy group fan club when she said what she said.
Priscilla's president of the fan club, I'm just saying. She's president of the Texas chapter.
Or
Well,
I'll co-sign that.
I'm sorry. I had to sit there and let that go. I mean, I sent them my pen, and I called Nationals and told them I couldn't do this no more. and I wanted a refund of my fund, my dues and membership fees and stuff. But because she really went in, but I would give Priscilla. She made a good point. You made a good point, Priscilla. When you said that, because you looked at how Allie was acting, like she said, "Why don't you just give her just put her just pump?" And I just give her a bottle, and she was like, "I don't want nothing. I don't touch my child's body." I'm like, one, my child, then two, like, really, bitch, really. And
Well,
I'm just saying,
listen. No, well, listen. I co-sign on the fact that she said my child. She should have said our. Number one. So I 100% agree with both of you. If you feel like that's something against Allie. My problem with the way Ivy was describing the whole situation, because she was like, she's rubbing it in my face. I'm like, all she said was, can I have the baby to feed the baby? I'm lactating. Like, I didn't understand, like, it was just, I'm like, you're being overdramatic, woman. Like, she's rubbing it in my face that I'm not the mother. I'm like, oh gosh, calm down and have several seats.
but she did also say that she couldn't give birth because of her
Endometriosis.
Yeah. So in some respects, I get that, but like I said, I can see where she was coming from. With some of the reason why some of the stuff that Allie does, because see, Allie is very, and I might be using this word completely wrong, pretentious. She's just annoying sometimes.
Well, she's sort of like the horrible stereotype of like the overly PC liberal, that wants all organic and all natural. She's probably vegan, gluten-free, non-processed foods, non-GMO, or I don't even know. There's probably more stuff that I could say, but she's like that type of person. So, I mean, I wasn't that surprised by no formula, because there are people out there like that aren't everything that I just stated. That, they don't like formula. They'd rather give the natural breast milk. But I guess because she is that like really pretentious person, I guess it was just like another thing that Ivy could complain about.
Yeah, but like I said, I agree with everything you just said. I just felt that at that moment I could see. Plus, Allie, it goes back to last week when Allie was like, yeah, I bought her a gift, and she was like not happy about that. You bought a Tiffany bracelet, and she just told you that y'all's restaurant was bleeding money. So you do not have the money to be going to buy, because it's just like, I guess Allie feels like we're here and we have nothing else to worry about, and like you said, those are the worst type of PC people, because they are very like, they are condescending with their allyship, if you get. And I think that's why he probably called her Allie. I'm just saying, just throw that out there. That's probably why Ryan Murphy called her Allie, because she thinks she's an ally to everybody, but she's really not. Anyway, that's just my whole thing. But I just was like, Ivy, you're despicable. All you had to do was just sit there and get a divorce. That's all you had to do. This is just unnecessary, elaborate, because you're saying you didn't want her to get harmed, but something harmful is going to happen to her. What if somebody has slipped, and like you don't know these people who you're trusting your house to? You got these people around your son, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like one of them can easily get too off into it and just snap, and then one of them could be dead, and then you can look like Boo Boo the Fool.
Mm-hmm. You got Beverly flying over the banister.
Exactly.
That is so amazing.
I mean, Beverly could have fell over that banister and landed.
She did fell over fall.
I mean, she could have landed on Oz. If she could, or
She could have landed on Oz.
or she could get so mad to the point where she just started slicing because they have no loyalty or connections to your family.
Hashtag
all of
these
that.
hoes ain't loyal.
These clown hoes ain't loyal. These clown hoes ain't loyal. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I get. Because I was just mad. And then when Kai sat there and was like, "Do you want my hot sister? Do you want to place your wife in my hot sister?" Meaning that, yeah, I'm finna pimp out Winter to get you to get right. So I'm thinking like everybody in the club got some, except Beverly, because Beverly don't need it. You see what I'm saying?
Beverly doesn't need it.
She don't need it. She don't need it. Winter probably gave Winter probably gave Ivy a little, Kit Kat, whatever. Kai probably sat there and gave Harrison and Samuels a threesome. And then Gary was probably sitting there like, I just want to be a part of the group because I love Trump so damn much. You know what I'm saying? So, and Beverly was like, look, I don't need none of that. Just give me my damn news stories and I'm fine. Meadow got some dick. You know what I'm saying? And poor little, what's his name? The guy who they killed.
RJ.
Poor little RJ, he was just there. But I'm just saying, like, that's how deep down they're willing to get this cause across. They're willing to sit there and just do whatever. And that's creepily amazing to me. But but back to just Ivy, I was just like, girl, bye. I'm done with you. I hope something happens to you now because because neither one of y'all, I mean, if Allie cannot
Neither one of you should have the kid. Both are terrible people.
Yeah, y'all both terrible kids. I mean, because it goes back to the first episode. She gave Oz the comic book of Twisted. Knowing you in the same house, knowing that Allie's gonna come across this goddamn comic book. And so it's just like I don't know. I feel duped. And I was pissed. And so that's why I was like, it was rude as fuck, but I'm here for it. But yeah, I'm over Ivy right now. I'm just so over her. And so she was acting all like shocked and screaming and the people getting killed left and right at the rally. I'm like, you are a part of this. You are a part of this. And you might not have known to the extent that this is supposed to go down, but and I don't know. I'll say my last comment right there towards the end when we get to that point in that episode. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm curious to see what you're gonna say. Let's save Sally for a little bit later because we'll get deep into what happens to Sally in just a moment. Well, actually, right now, because Allie ends up taking Meadow to Dr. Vincent. She's like, please watch her. She knows stuff. It's really important. It's going to prove everything. But you need to watch her, please. Keep her safe, basically.
And as everyone in the audience goes,
I know, because we discussed this last week. You weren't here, Priscilla, but I feel like I feel like two things. One, Vincent knows stuff. He knows about the cult, knows who Meadow is and everything. I kept on watching them, like their reactions. And because I was like, he knows stuff. And B, he could be like the secret leader / Queen Bee.
Ooh. I like that theory.
Yeah, so I was looking at them, and when Allie left, and like the little look that Meadow gave him, like I was like, it was like she was in the principal's office almost. And so we pick up with Sally at her house. There's banging on the doors. She grabs her gun, and it is Allie. And Allie is basically like, you need to listen to me. You need to hear everything I'm saying. I promise I'm not crazy, but there's a cult. Your political opponent Kai is in charge of it. They're trying to basically create fear so that he can win, and I have a witness. She's an ex-cult member. She will tell you everything. And she's basically like, I'm not surprised. And she's like, this is the kind of stuff that happens whenever the patriarchy is threatened. And she goes on talking about other cult leaders and how it relates to basically women in power, or women getting their rights. And she's very understanding. And and Allie's like, what, you believe me? And she's like, yeah, I know he isn't any good. And in every society, whoever has chosen to lead with fear has undone the society itself. And so she's like, we need to stop him. He needs to be humiliated. And if any of what you're saying is true, this will help me win the election, and I'm willing to take that road. And so Allie breathes like a sigh of relief. She's like, thank you. And, it seems as if Allie finally has a win. It seems as if things are headed in the right direction, because they even talk about having a press conference with Meadow telling the truth. But then shit hits the fan. The clowns invade the house. Allie runs and hides. Sally grabs her gun, and she basically threatens all of the clowns. She's like, who's going to make the first move? Who am I going to shoot first? And a clown grabs her from behind, and, she gets tossed to the floor, and the clown takes off his mask, and it is Kai. And some of the other clowns take off their masks. I love the moment when Sally recognizes Beverly. I thought that was fantastic. And so Kai ends up staging a suicide. He writes on her Facebook wall something to the gist of, like, I see the future of where politics is going, and basically I can't stand for it, so I'm going to kill myself. And even though Sally's like, no one's going to believe, what you just posted on my Facebook wall, and he's like, of course, it's Facebook. And so he ends up shooting her.
Chills.
Which is fucking eerie, because I was talking to someone before, and they're like, and I was like, why do you believe all these clickbait articles that are on Facebook? And that person went, well, it's Facebook. And I was like, no, I cannot believe that they freaking mentioned this in the show. It's true.
Yeah, and
Everybody
it's very
believes
sad.
whatever's on social media.
I know.
That's scary.
It's very sad. And so one of the clowns leaves the group, and we know who the clown is. It's Ivy. And I'm going to say I did not know that her mask had a back. And I love that it's the Republican elephant in the front and the Democratic donkey in the back. I thought that was really neat. And she ends up finding Allie. And this was like the best moment ever, because of course your partner would recognize you even if you have a mask on, because Allie goes, Ivy? And Harrison ends up, calling for her, and so Ivy ends up like shutting the door to the bathroom and ends up leaving, I guess, with the group of clowns. So let's discuss this. Let's talk about Sally. What did you all think of Sally? Sally, we hardly knew ye. And let's also break down that scene with the Ivy clown and Allie.
It's sad that Ivy saw Allie recognizes Ivy, but Ivy doesn't call her out because she knows it doesn't matter if you're gonna go up against the clowns. Like, nobody's gonna believe you ever. You don't have to die because you're useless. She knows. And I don't know, it also feels really like sad to see it was sad to see Sally go because she was accurate. She was right. She figured everything out. Like with people just like giving her the facts, she knew that Kai was just a big snake oil salesman, and she still died. Like, damn it! Like the smart people are supposed to live.
Mark.
Oh, I was like, hello, because I was like, oh, okay. But no, echoing what Priscilla said, Sally was just. I felt that I cannot pronounce her last name. Same idea.
Mare Winningham.
Mary Wingham, I felt like she should have been brought in like 2 episodes earlier.
Yes, I really like her, and I love the characters that they've given her on this series, except for the season where she was playing the abusive mother, because that was
Which
disturbing.
Wait a minute, I keep getting them mixed up.
Coven. That was
Coven, yeah.
Okay,
What was
Freak show.
No, it was in Coven. What was Evan Peters' character's name? I don't remember. Coven so long ago.
But he
Tate,
didn't have
no.
it wasn't Tate. No, it was something.
Would you say, Priscilla?
She said
Nothing.
Tate.
I said Tate, but it was wrong.
Okay, well, whatever his character, like, because that scene where she like molested him when he was in the tub, I was just like, ooh, and she had those horrible braids in her hair, and she was playing like white trash, basically. I was like, ooh, Mare, what the fuck do they have you doing?
I think she killed her kid and blamed it on Pepper. Or was that Jennifer Jason Leigh? I can't remember which one that was. The Freak show.
Yeah, no, that was in Freak Show.
But
No, that was her. That was Mare, right?
That was her? Okay, because I was making sure, because there was a time, and I don't know why or how, there was a time I got her and Jennifer Jason Leigh mixed up. I don't know why. And I apologize to both actresses, but yeah. But no, I felt that she should have brought in 2 episodes earlier because she shook the fuck out of Kai.
Yeah, she was a good foil.
She shook him in under like 5 seconds, and he was visibly shook. That's the first time I saw him scared throughout this entire season because she snatched up all them damn folks from under his gaze just that fast, and then she read him like from cover to cover. I was sitting there like I was at the goddamn town hall meeting, clapping and cheering and stuff like that. I was like, you better read his ass for filth.
Yeah, it was at that moment though when I was like, she's gonna die, because you know, he was thinking to himself, he was like this woman just undid everything that I like built up with this group of potential voters in the town hall in like 30 seconds. Like, if this lady runs against me and she starts talking to the press and she starts going door to door, like, I'm gonna lose basically my entire voting block.
Because she exposed, like we all said, she exposed him. She took off the hood and was like, look at this little boy standing right here before you. Do y'all really want this child in the zoning committee? Because, I mean, yeah, it might be just a zoning, but you can clearly tell he has higher aspirations than zoning your areas and stuff like that. He's trying to bring, so no, we're not going to do that. So I think her whole soul in life was, her whole sole purpose was to sit there and make sure that he didn't win. Even if she didn't win, she was a Jill Stein. She was a Jill Stein in the little election. She was like, I don't need to win. I just want to sit there and just like make sure that you don't get in the office. I mean, clearly she wanted to win, but I'm pretty sure the way that she had it set up, if she didn't win, and he didn't, if she'll be okay if he didn't win. That's what I'm trying to get across. Also, I just want to compliment on, I don't smoke weed. I've never done it. I don't want to ever try it. But when she was just calmly sitting there talking to Alec, yeah, I know what you're talking about. She was sitting there rolling the joint. I'm like, girl, she's like, I'm like, please, Lord, just have them maim her. If they don't do anything to her, just have them maim her. Don't let her die from her wounds and stuff like that.
She was rolling a joint?
Yes.
Oh, I was into the conversation. I was not even paying attention to what she was doing.
She was rolling a joint.
Really?
Like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Yeah, because I was like into what they were saying. Because I was like, she believes her? And I was like, okay.
But everything she said made so much sense, and it kind of laid the groundwork for something to say at the end of the episode. But she pretty much said everything. Cause like she read him for filth, and she saw what he was. She said, "Oh, really? Okay, that makes so much sense, and I can use all of this, to knock him out." And a part of me feels like they probably have a tracking device on Allie or something like that, because but they will go show up at her house any damn way. But I just feel like at that particular moment, it would just seem like bad timing on everybody's part. But also, just that line about, nobody's gonna believe you, nobody's gonna believe that. And he was like, and the way Evan Peters delivered that line, of course they will. It's on Facebook, and it was so much nuance in how he delivered that and how he said it. It was just so creepy because he said it with disgust. Matter of fact, he said it in disgust, matter of factly, and you couldn't do nothing but sit there and be like, he's right. And that's the horror that we're facing right now. Because before we went live, somebody posted Morgan Freeman was dead from a website that clearly did not have any reputable. It was not a reputable website. But so many people are so pressed to post something so quickly, and they're so eager to believe a certain narrative to fit their own fears that it's like you can't talk anybody down from the ledge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I've never understood that. And, like, I don't want to sound because like whenever people like start talking about like people easily falling for stuff, then like, oh, you're just being an elitist or whatever. And I don't mean to sound that way, but I can't fathom in my mind like easily falling for something like that. Like, there's this thing called the internet and Google, and all you've got to do is like double check to make sure something is right before you repost. Like, I don't understand why people don't think that way. It's like that to me is very foreign. But yet a lot of people and a lot of really smart people fall for it. Like, I don't understand it. Maybe because I podcast and I'm constantly reading stuff that, I can weed through the fake stuff, but I still can't wrap my mind around like people posting stuff that isn't accurate, but people do it all the time.
and then when they post it, let's say for instance, somebody who has a blue check beside their name on Twitter or Facebook posts something, and then it's erroneous, but because you have that platform and you go and you post something, and then even if you sit there and you realize after you post it, oh, this was incorrect, well, let me go back and just put out a disclaimer. What I posted like 2 or 3 minutes ago was false news, and I'm sorry.
No
Don't,
one does that. No one puts a disclaimer and puts up like this is false news. People don't even delete their like incorrect posts anymore. They
yeah.
just leave it up there.
And then because they'll sit there and say, well, so said that, it was false. No, it wasn't. Somebody probably sat there and paid. See, that's the shit that gets on my nerves right there. It's just the fact that you are so, I told a friend of mine the other day, I think that outrage is like the new drug. It's the new trending drug. It's better than Molly. It's better than Flocka, whatever that stuff is called. It got people going crazy and stuff like that. It's the new adrenaline high. Because when people get into that space, they will not stop. And it's just like, oh my God, like, what do you just shut up? And sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's not. But if you can a constant state of like, at 24/7, then it's just kind of like, I can't fuck with you no more. Like, I cannot listen to anything that you are saying, but that's the state of the world now. And I think that's the genius and why I feel like this is the scariest season of American Horror Stories, because it's so real. It's too real. And Ryan Murphy, through Kai, is telling people how they're being duped on a daily basis, and they're just like, oh, it's entertainment, it's not, but oh, did you see what happened over here? And it's just like, oh my God. So I don't know, but yeah, that exchange of course they will believe it. It's on Facebook. To me, that should be a T-shirt alongside of I'm normal people scare me. You know, the American Horror Story shirts with the quotes from each season. Season 2 Asylum was all monsters are created human or something like that. You know, it just each season has a line that resonates through the entire season and throughout the entire show. And I think that this season is, of course, they believe it because it's on Facebook, and because he said about 2 or 3 times already. But I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's sad the state of social media because like people believe anything that's on Facebook. Like I believe like there's some poll out there that says that like the majority of people think Facebook is like a news site, and I'm like, no,
yeah,
it's social media. Like, yes, it will tell you what's trending, but not everything that's trending is real. You know, just because people post about it, doesn't make it real. Like, listeners, Google is your friend. Like, if you feel like you read something that's kind of crazy, Google it. If there are, you know, a few different sources saying the same thing, especially reputable websites, then you can believe it. Like, don't believe everything that's on social media.
yeah. If you have to
For
go
real.
5 or 6, if you had to go 5 to 20 pages in to find what you're looking for to source it, it might not be true.
Yeah.
Because as a librarian, I have to teach people that like the first thing you see, like they'll probably click on an ad to apply for a job or something like that. I tell them that's not the correct thing. But if you're looking for somebody, say they saw something on the internet, if they can't give you the exact website, and you got to go like 5 or 6 different page, like search results, pages of results to find it, and if the website's looking all janky and stuff like that, it might not be true. You have to be careful about that. And to me, that's kind of why I kind of been very distant from a lot of people and stuff like that today, because everybody's fucking crazy, and I really don't have anything to do with anybody when it comes to the media and shit like that, because it's getting crazy out there. But I'm sorry, we done turned this all into a damn. I think that's probably why I was floored last night, because it felt like, you know, they tell you if you feel troubled, open up the Bible, and then the first thing you read will probably give you the answer that you need. I went to American Horror Story last night, and they just told me, you're not crazy, it's them. And I was like, okay, fine, I'm good with that, you know, whatever. So that's how I felt after Kai sat there, and then on top of that, the way he shot her, how can anybody sit there and say that was a suicide? And I sat there and said, oh, I forgot Samuel's on the
Because he's
Samuels,
got the
yeah.
cop.
yeah, because I said Samuel's on the clear. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
And
I-
the media is in his pocket as well.
And
So
the media's his pocket as well. But and then with the Allie Ivy exchange, I just wish Ivy had to Allie had to just went head first into Ivy and pushed her ass at the goddamn window.
oh, that would have been amazing. You know, as much shit as just in general we have given Allie for being very weak and whatnot, I will give her props. And I don't know if you two will give her props. I will give her props in that she took a weapon earlier in the episode to the Wilton's house, and that she broke in and she actually, you know, took things into her own hands. Like that would not have happened like episode 1 with Allie. So props to her for like actually taking like the action into her own hands. And I also like that she recognized Ivy. That was amazing. Yeah. And as we transition into the next scene, I will also say, Sally, Mare, you were fantastic. And once again, because I just love that moment when she recognized Beverly, you know, the look she gave Beverly and the look Beverly gave back to her was fantastic. Shout out to Adina Porter. I love me some Adina Porter.
She is killing it.
She really is, literally. So we pick things up back at Ruby Vincent's office. Allie shows up and basically talking about the clowns killing her and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, "Where's Meadow?" And he's like, "Oh, well, she left. And, she's an adult. I wasn't going to keep her here if she didn't want to stay here." And we get a flashback to Meadow and Rudy talking. And Meadow gets a call from Kai. And then she's basically like, "Oh, I've got to go." And so Dr. Vincent doesn't believe anything that Allie is saying. And once she realizes it, she's basically like, he threatens that, you can either go voluntarily into a psychiatric facility, or, I could make it so you're basically forced to go into one. And Allie's basically like, "Fuck you." And so now it is the day of the rally, and everyone that we know is there. I think the only person we don't see is Gary Longstreet.
And Winter.
And Winter. Yeah, we don't see Winter there. But everyone else is there. Beverly's got her new cameraman. And, Kai is getting into his speech. A lot of what we heard at the start of the episode. And Allie sees Meadow. She screams at Meadow. And as everyone's chanting about the wall, we see Meadow whip out the gun. And she starts shooting random people. She shoots Kai in the thigh, and she just starts picking random people as they start running away in the crowd, and she starts shooting them. We see everything from Meadow and Allie's point of view. Allie ends up trying to get the gun away from Meadow. She tells her to stop, and Meadow's like, "This is the face of true love," and she puts the gun into her mouth and shoots. And then we see now that Allie is with the gun, and we see what we saw at the start of the episode with Allie with the gun in her hand, and the SWAT team basically telling her to put the gun down, to get down, and all that kind of stuff. And so then we get a flashback. We flash back to the night when it was the night that Meadow was like, "I'm done with you all, fuck y'all," and she gets hogtied in the closet. And Kai has the box cutter, and we see Kai basically seduce Meadow, telling her everything that she's ever wanted to hear. "You're special. I see you. I see the real you." And he's like, "You're right. The city council thing is too small, but greater things have to happen." And so he explains that he needs to be assassinated so that the message can grow. And he's like, not really assassinated, but an assassination attempt. And basically like, "You're the one that can do it, Meadow. I believe in you." And as she gets penetrated, he explains that, "You're going to do it, but before we do the assassination attempt, we need a witness. You need to tell Allie everything. Tell her the truth." And the important thing about the truth is because when the truth comes out of her mouth, when people see the truth in plain sight, they're not going to believe what a crazy woman says. And he's like, "I trust you. You're the only one that can do this." But she's like, "I can't lie to the police. I can't do that. I'm afraid. I'm going to crack and cave and tell them the truth." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry. That won't be a problem. You're not going to have to lie to the police, and it's going to be our secret forever." And so we see Kai on the stretcher, and Allie's taken away. Ivy, fuck off. Um, and and we see.
Damn.
I know,
strong work.
cause she's like with this like face, like, oh my god, what the hell happened? I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was gonna
whatever.
say. That's what I was gonna say earlier. That's why I was like, her facial expression looked like either she had a mixture of, I can't believe that she would do something like this. Like, I can't believe. She still had a sense of contempt for Allie. And I'm
Ivy,
like,
hashtag girl bye. And and Kai ends the episode with like the greatest Joker smile on his face. Like, crap, everything that I set out to happen happened. So, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the twist, basically. Seeing exactly what happened at the political rally. What did y'all think? Priscilla?
That was the twist, the part that I was mentioning like the first time around. Like, I thought that she had cracked. So to have the entire episode play out and to figure out that no, even though she figured out everything, even though her own wife was like in the clown mask right in front of her, she still wasn't, like, she was still trying her best to stop Kai's plan and to try her best to make sure that Meadow doesn't do anything stupid. But no. And to turn out that like Meadow's like kind of like twisted up in that whole logic in her head that's like, no, this is a romantic thing. This is a gesture of love. This is true love. No, no, no. When I heard that, my eyes rolled so far back into my head. I was just kind of like, man, fuck you, bitch. You're stupid, and you died stupid. Girl, bye.
Yeah.
For the life of me, I don't know why Ivy was doing that stupid face that entire time. That like, that shocked bit. Like, was it because the other cult members don't know
I don't think they knew. That's the
about
whole thing.
Meadows?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I think, was it last week, Mark? I think we discussed it
Yeah.
where we talked about that we feel that some cult members know certain things and others
Yes.
don't. Because, because we were talking about Meadow and the fact that she was, like, we didn't know what the hell happened. Like, that she was kidnapped or whatnot. And remember, Ivy said something to the gist of when they had their meeting, like, where's Meadow? And they were like, oh, she's, I forget what excuse they gave her. And I was like, oh, okay, so Ivy doesn't know. So that means that there might be certain, like, subsections. There might be like a caste system in a sense.
Yes.
Someone that is lower in the group, doesn't necessarily know what someone who's has like seniority in the group or something like that.
I think, like I explained last week, I think that the two people who know everything are both Beverly and Winter. They're top tier. Harrison Samuels is next because they have to carry out the orders of the top tier. And then there was Gary's just there.
Gary's
knows-
just there.
He knows things, but he's just gung ho. You saw how he was so eager just to kill Sally. Please can I take this bitch's life out? I'm like, he's ready to just do whatever. But he does not know enough that Harrison and Samuel knows, which means that he's under them. And then Meadow and RJ were just at the very bottom. They were just there. You know what I'm saying? And so, to piece together all that, Harrison and I forgot about Ivy. Ivy was probably
She doesn't even have her membership card yet.
hard.
It's
It
still
hasn't
being
been
laminated.
eliminated. Exactly. Her membership card still being
Mhm.
it's still being going through
It's at the
machine right
Kinko's.
now. Yes. So she's still they still testing her, but Harrison and Samuels probably got hip to what was going on after Kai, probably informed, met over a plan, because that was Kai's way of getting what he needed with the assassination attempt, but also giving Harrison what he wanted, which was metal out of his hair. So he killed two birds with one stone, literally, with that. And so the thing that bothered me the most, because Kai made a good point. If you tell her everything and she starts babbling about stuff and wide out, they're not gonna believe it. But you all saw this blonde, crazy woman shoot the person in front of her, then shoot Kai, then shoot about 5 other people, and there was this woman trying to stop her the whole entire time. You all saw that. However, when you are being a chaotic scene like that, you really don't know what the hell you're looking at. You're just in a state of shock. So it still worked out perfectly for Kai, but it just, to me, it just made everything even more frustrating, is because people are going to say that Ali was the one who did all the shooting, despite all the camera, because the only cameras there was Beverly's cameras, because surprisingly nobody in the crowd had a cell phone, unlike other incident we have. There's cell phones all over the place, but I'm pretty sure all the cell phones are going to probably only have Ali as one holding the gun and everything, when all the smoke is cleared. So this is why I was like, is this the end of Ali? Because I cannot see in any shape, way, or form her getting out of this. This is going to be all the news cycle. Beverly is the one on the scene. She's going to have the lead, the exclusive, because she was an eyewitness. So she can easily sit there and say Ali Richards, Mayfair, Ali Richards Mayfair is the gunman. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the creepy thing about it. Kai's been planning this for like ever. And he's won, or has he? Because
I can't figure out a way that he's not going to win. Because this is American Horror Story. Good guys don't always win. So maybe they're not supposed to this time around. Maybe he does win. Maybe he gets to a really high position because of this. You never know.
That's true. It's American Horror Story.
Man, this show is so good. People need to watch it.
Yeah, I had to argue with one of my friends. He sat there and tagged me in a post last week. I can't believe that you're watching this crap. It's even worse than Hotel. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Don't come to me with that right now. This is the best thing on TV, kind of. If it's not the best, it's the second best, and I mean by a minuscule of a hair. So, I don't know. I just felt like this episode, it's like, this season has been like a tumultuous relationship where, they treat you bad, but you just can't leave, you know what I'm saying? But in a good way. I don't know, it's just, I'm all my emotions. I'm still in my feelings, and I'm just like, oh God, I cannot wait till next week, because that's when shit's going to get really weird based on the previews. So, oh God, I wish I could talk about them, but I can't. So, yeah, I'm here for next Tuesday, and I cannot wait for it to get here, because I'm just trying to see. We have 5 more episodes left, and I'm trying to see where they're going to take it now. Because, like I said, Kai's a pinnacle. I mean, all the villains of American Horror Story have failed too. There's been not one villain who has won. Everybody doesn't win. Nobody wins in the game of American Horror Story. So, except for the Supreme, Cordelia, to me, Cordelia, the surviving characters from Free Show, nobody really won in Hotel. Rondo, nobody won. Asylum, I guess you could say Lana Winters won, and we all know what happened. So this is I'm eager to see what they're gonna do. I'm scared, but I'm eager to see what they're gonna do.
Well, on that note, it's time for the MVP, the most valuable player. Which character impressed you the most, and why? The rules are simple. State which character impressed you throughout the episode, and why, and if someone has already mentioned the character that you were going to choose, you must select a different one, so no repeats. So let's start off with Priscilla.
I'm going to go with Meadow. To go from kind of the limp rag doll that lets her be pushed around by whatever Harrison wants or whatever's on Desperate Housewives or like whatever she's watching at that point, and to go from that to the person that like is the shooter, the person that helps arrange an entire new scheme for Kai. Definitely Meadow.
Mark.
Mine's going to be Allie because, like Meadow, as Priscilla just eloquently put, she went from being annoying to I'm sick of this shit. I'm taking charge. I need to just get this insanity has to stop. And for the first time, she's picked up a weapon. No, I'm gonna take that back because she's still in the. I don't like Allie holding any type of weapon because it ends up making her look suspect as hell. So,
Oh my gosh.
but even when she picked up the knife and she went up to the neighbor's house, I was like, "Girl, your prince is on there." And you didn't think, but anyway, she still managed to escape that one. But the gun. But at the end of the day, she knows that she's not crazy, and I'm glad that she sat there and told Dr. Vince to fuck off, because I think if she had caved in, that she really would have ended up being crazy, based on the fact that she, didn't act on her gut. Then she acted on her gut. It kind of went sour for her at this point in time, but I still have faith that she's going to bounce back because I'm thinking that somebody's going to point all this stuff together, because we do know they've said this numerous times that the police are saying that Beverly Hope's stories don't add up with their, it doesn't add up. So I'm pretty sure that even though Samuels is in the pocket of Kai, Kai is not that safe with the police force as he is. So I'm thinking somebody in the police force coming in for the rescue Allie. And that's why I'm going to sit from here on out and cheer for her and say that she is my MVP of this episode, because she finally stopped being a victim and she fought back.
And I'm going to give the MVP to Sally, because this is the only episode we're going to see her in, so I feel like that's appropriate. And Mare Winningham was just awesome as Sally, so even though we only got her for one episode and for 2 scenes, she made a very strong impression. She was ready to shake things up, and unfortunately her time was cut short on the series. But I feel like she said, in particular to Allie, will have like a lasting effect, especially since she went into like the history of cult leaders. I think that's gonna be something maybe that Allie ends up maybe researching or something. I mean, if she's gonna be in some sort of facility, I'm sure they have a library, or she might have internet access, and she might start researching cult leaders or something like that. I also think it's funny that it's Sally and Allie.
So,
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. All right, now it's time to rate the episode. How would you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10 clown masks? The point system is allowed, and if you found the episode exceptional, deserving of more than a 10, you may grant it the coveted Twisty the Clown mask. And let's start off with Mark.
Twisty the Clown mask. I'm sorry, I got to give it to this episode. Not honorable mention, but just Evan Peters deserves an Emmy this year. If he does not get it, I'm going to be highly pissed the fuck off. The writing, like I said last week, it constantly builds. Like we said in this episode, like Priscilla said, the puzzle pieces keep getting, added on to this already pre-established, table, and it just seems like I don't know. It's just there's no words to describe how awesome this season has been. That would do it justice. I'm just in this episode. It's like each episode hits a crescendo, and I can't blow it enough. Twisted the Clown masks.
Priscilla.
I'm gonna give it 10 clown masks. I don't give it the Twisty because I feel like to get the Twisty you have to have like something that's like hugely like exponentially like reveal something or something. And I feel like we got a twist, but we didn't get more added to like I don't know. Like it needs to have that like little extra special twist of something to be the to be the Twisty the Clown Mask. And for now, I like 10 is nothing to sneeze at. It's a very good episode. So 10.
All right. I agree with one of you, and that person is Priscilla. I'm giving it a 10 as well. There is something about the episode. I mean, it was really good, but it just, Priscilla, like as you mentioned here, it didn't have that little extra push for me to give it over 10, the Twisty the Clown Mask. So 10 clown masks for me. It was a fantastic episode, really great acting. Like you mentioned, Mark, Evan Peters has been outstanding, and this episode, it was just phenomenal to see, this character go from, you know, being very charismatic and seductive, but like being so in a very evil and nefarious way. Like, that was phenomenal to see. And Sally was awesome, and Allie sort of like piecing things together. Like, it was a really well done episode. I loved the flashes back to different times and that kind of thing. So overall, a very solid episode. So 10 clown masks from me. So on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid Cult? Once again, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Are You Afraid? Cult and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. My co-hosts, please wish the listeners a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Are You Afraid Cult every Thursday via Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and the Poppy Chula Radio archives. Good night.